So what is your degree in? And then tell me how you kind of transition into being an educator yourself.
My degree is in political science, right? Again, my father being in law, um, and a lawyer is just kind of one of those things. It's like that's what I'll be after college, right? I don't know if I had really thought about it, but at the time of enrollment and picking classes, to be honest with you, it was like which one has less math. I was the I'm really good. I'm really good at math, but I just knew I didn't want to take math,
Right.
my entire years here in college. And political science and criminal justice, of course, you had 3 hours of math, and that was pretty much it. And from there, I developed a passion just for law. I've always had like an activist perspective, been a Garvey reader my entire life, been a big Malcolm X guy my entire life. So, hindsight, I appreciate my degree and that exposure. I mean, because it's politics to everything. And when you understand the nature of politics, you can kind of see and gain a clear understanding of some of these motives that lie beneath these plans and, some of the ways that politicians move. So I was exposed to a lot and I really appreciate that. But nearing graduation, I went to Kaplan to study and prepare for the LSAT. I took my LSAT. I did fairly well, but just speaking with a bunch of other lawyer friends that I met throughout the way, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Especially right away. You
Right.
may end up somewhere working 80 hours a week. Really just pushing papers. You may not be Annalise Keaton right away. You may not be right in the courtroom. You although that's the picture that I had, I didn't realize how much happened in between there. So in that time period, really in this gray area, it's kind of like, again, my sister, who's an educator, I follow her footsteps. She said, why don't you come home and, try being a teacher? And I mean, literally, from the day I signed up to be a para, um, I just felt, it was just natural. Kids kind of gravitate towards me. And I've always been good at listening to people without judging them. And I don't think anybody appreciates that more than children, just to be heard without somebody judging me. And I was able to build from that, build great relationships with them, with my colleagues, with my students' families. And it was somewhere that I felt that I'm directly making a change. And that's something that's important to me.
I mean, that's what's up. I mean, that kind of slides right back into what we're talking about. So, did you have to get any additional training, or did your bachelor's degree suffice to
The
get
bachelor's
to
degree,
teaching?
the bachelor's degree sufficed me, especially, I could jump in as a paraprofessional, right? And
Hmm.
that's what I was. Now, granted, these schools, they shake, they move, teachers get sick, people go on leave. And in those absences, I was able to kind of step into their shoes, just for a second to see if it's something that I really could do. Could I manage a classroom? Could I run through a lesson? And once I saw that I could do that, um, I outgrew that position and I transferred schools. I went to a choice school where all you needed was the bachelor's degree. And with that degree, you could be a lead teacher. So when I first made my switch over to Hope Christian, I was a um, blended learning instructor. And I managed a course called Edgenuity, which essentially put students on a learning track based off how they tested or whatever the case may be. And based on their MAP scores, I would work hand in hand with the in-person teacher just to better understand where their problems are at so we can get better intervention. And that I did that for an entire year. And again, just the jumble of schools, teachers would drop. And again, I was provided an opportunity to see what it would be like in seventh grade. And got that opportunity about it was the second year, but really at the beginning of the second year I was there. And I fell in love with it. They offered me the position, and I did that for the remaining 2 years I was there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you
So
say,
kind of unorthodox, right?
yeah,
Kind of unorthodox.
that's how a lot
There
of
are
good
many,
things start, though.
yeah, kind of unorthodox, but hey, I fell in love with it, to a point now where I contemplate going back to school. And if I ever do step back in a classroom, um, I plan to have my master's in Africana studies. And the goal will be to, we spoke about representation earlier, but the goal will be to have um, Black history like mandated from K through 12 education, especially in these communities and in these schools that are 95+% African American. I feel that it's important for us to put our history in front of them so that being a Black doctor isn't strange, so that being something greater than a ball player or a rapper or an athlete, you can see these faces at a young age. You can identify with that at a young age. Therefore, you can picture yourself in those positions as an adult. And I do feel that that's something that's missing in our school systems today. So if I ever do jump back in education, that will become my mission to make happen.
Absolutely. We gotta reset our bar. It's way too
Hmm.
low right now. It should be a norm to be successful. It should be a norm to go to
Yep.
college, and I think it's more of a exception at this point. So
Hmm.
I think it's very valid. So what would you say is the most fulfilling about working with youth in general, more so working with youth that look like you?
Oh man, I didn't realize it until I didn't have them, right? So until I got sick last year, I was in the hospital for quite some time, probably about 3 weeks, and that's when I kind of knew, like, just health wise, I just wasn't able probably to commit to this. There, I need to take some time to get myself together. And it was in that time period I started therapy. I'm still going to therapy, but it really came out that my students, that's who I talk to, like every day. That's who I have to talk to. They kept me sharp, because I had people watching me every day, not just people, but I had children watching me every day. And I didn't realize until I wasn't in front of them how much I needed them, right? My phone rings off the hook they still call me, to this day as if I'm still teaching.
Yeah,
But I'm just glad that I was able to build that trust and respect, not only with them, but with their families, that bridge of communication is even still available. But they tell me all the time, like, Mr. P, like, we need you, we miss you, we this. But I can honestly tell them the same thing because without them, there was a huge gap. There was a long period of depression. And I realized that the people I talk to every day, I don't talk to anymore. The people I guide, I talk to about life, I help them with their problems. Um, I didn't have them anymore. And without them in front of me, I was almost lost because I don't think I talked to too many other people on the level that I would talk to them. So yeah, other than the hustling, just the headache of dealing with, 75 12-year-olds, right? um, what
dancing
so
and
many
all the time.
what oh my goodness, I could go off about them all day, but I mean, just the notes, just the you know just the little things, and teachers say it all the time. It's just the little things that happen that make all of it worthwhile. And like now, my students, some of my first seventh graders, they're in high school. Um, Even when I first started teaching in the computer class, some of them are about 15, 16 now. I mean, getting cars, they got jobs. I'll see them out, and it's just little stuff like that. It's like it's still rewarding to see. Like, look at you. Like,
Yeah,
I knew it. I told you. I told you. I told you. I told you. I tell them all the time. One day, everything I'm telling you will make sense.
that's what they need. You just need somebody to tell you you can do it. Whether you listen at one point
That's
or
it.
just that resounding in the back
Hmm.
of your head will keep you going.